it's Randy Porter here. I'm so excited. Selfishly, I am like super duper excited. I've wanted to do this for so long. Guys, this has been in the camp booklets for the staff for like years now. Every time I look at it, I love it so much. It is such a good summary of not only where we start, but the salvation story, why we need it, salvation, but then after. Oh, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful next 15 days. And I am excited to be on this journey with you. You'll probably teach me a whole lot more than I'll teach you. That's what makes me so excited. All right, so I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to tell you today's points, and then I'm going to tell you my strategies. It doesn't have to be what you do, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And if you get some good ideas from it, great. And if not, tell me what you're going to do in the comments, all right? So this is kind of the sucky part of the journey because we have to realize where things start. And things don't usually start very good without God, right? So we have to realize when we come into this world, we are in darkness. There are some harsh realities we have to come to terms with. I have not always been the best at this. I'm going to be honest. Okay? I used to spend a lot of time wishing things were different. I don't know if anybody relates to that, but I would just sit there and wish and if only this had happened, things would be different, or why does it have to be this way, blah, blah, blah. And then one day I felt the Father nudging me saying, if you seek me, all those things that you can't change are still going to stay the same, but if you're seeking me, then your reality will change because your heart posture will change. It's probably a better use of your time. And I was like, that's a good idea. So anyway, the first truth that we are going to ponder on today is that sin entered the world and that all have sinned. Go look at Romans 5:12, okay? Write it out, read it, whatever's best for you. I'm actually going to write out 5:12 today. That's the one I'm going to write out. Then, you can pause me if you need to. Okay. Then, we're going to think about how sin joins us to the world system and the devil's family. That's not so fun, especially after reading in Romans where, it talks about how there was death through sin. That death is separation from God. Separation from God is way worse than physical death, by the way. Just saying. And so that is a pretty big truth to handle, but then also realizing that we're so used to telling ourselves we're part of God's family. It's hard to think about when we weren't. That when we weren't, it wasn't like we were just, existing. No, that sin joined us to the devil's family. So when you read John 8:38 through 44, it's not a pretty picture. It's kind of an ouch moment. It was for me anyway. So I want you to read and or write those scriptures. Here's my plan for the day. Take it or leave it. I have a journal. I like my little plan. Here's what I tend to do. Maybe this will help you. I'm going to write out the scripture. Today it's going to be Romans 5:12. I still have Romans rolling around in my head from the last couple of weeks, right? And so I have thoughts on Romans. So that jumped out at me. It doesn't have to be what you do. Then I'm going to write down just thoughts after I do it. The scripture, I'm going to write thoughts, the context, just whatever comes to mind. There's no right or wrong. It's just processing what comes to mind by pondering this truth. Then I'm going to write out application. Okay, that's my step 3. It's application. Not how this applies to my life. How my life applies to this truth. How I need to change my life to apply to this truth. Things like that. There's a difference. Then, number 4 is a prayer. I either say or write it. Sometimes I write it. Sometimes I'm just prompted to just get on my knees and, in whatever way, like today would be, oh Lord, I'm so thankful that even when there was all this separation, that you still love me, that you still love the world enough to give your son as a sacrifice for us so that we even have a way to have a relationship with you. I'm so thankful, but please help me to know this truth and not sit here and try to change the truth, but change my heart to understand it and move forward from it. So that's the kind of things that I'm going to do today. So I'm going to start my day with scripture, but my goal is always to end it with scripture too. I'm not always the best at it. I'm going to be honest. Does anybody relate? Sometimes you're really, really good and then not so good, and then really, really good and then not so good, and then you kind of Peter Potter around and then you're really good. No, is it just me? Maybe. But My plan is tonight, when I've been thinking about things all day, and there's sometimes things like wonderful divine thoughts or just simple what ifs will come to mind, and I tend to write those things down at the end of the day. That's my goal anyway. But today, my promise to you is I'm going to write them in the comments. After thinking on it all day, I'm going to put in the comments what I've learned, what I've thought about, and what's changed in me. I'm hoping you'll do the same, and then we'll learn from each other. Won't that be cool? I'm really excited to be on this journey with you. I hope that you have a wonderful day pondering this truth, and I also hope you always remember that you've got friends at Messiah, Texas.